Good coffee morning, neighbors. March, the month of March across the years. What has that meant? 10 years ago, Fukushima disaster, which actually was just a part of a massive tsunami caused by the Tohoku earthquake. The earthquake itself shut down those reactors, and they were in trouble then. Before the tidal wave hit, those reactors were in trouble just from the earthquake. That was enough to shut down around 50 nuclear reactors across the nation of Japan, of which only maybe 7 have been turned back on. This is what the nation realized. The people that have to think about these possibilities and the cost of them decided not to turn other reactors back on. They've been sitting there idling, much less dangerous idling than they are running. But they're still idling. They still have to be maintained. So what's going on with those reactors? We kind of don't know. There isn't a great good message being put out about Fukushima, engineering, technology, sciences, because what they've done is only partially effective. These are engineering risks. When you're trying to design processes with so many variables, so many harsh variables, risks, concerns. The reason the robots still can't go into those areas. The robots that weren't ready to begin with, that probably should have been, and still aren't ready to begin with. So these nuclear disasters march. One of the biggest challenges is understanding the harm of nuclear, the actual cost, the toll taken from these nuclear excursions, these nuclear missteps, these accidents, these oversights, these poor engineering concerns. It's an issue. But let's look back to how we know about the harm of this type of pollution. It goes back to tests done in the Bikini atolls in the 40s. Dozens and dozens of nuclear tests over a decade of blowing things up. In the Bikini atolls, we relocated, we dislocated, we broke island communities and put them back together in a new nuclear world. 1940s. The effects of this was studied reasonably well in the 1940s. And the outcomes were not good in the 1940s. The nuclear test veterans case came along. That one's worth looking up and seeing the history, the long history of denial about the harm of nuclear, finally settled after almost all the plaintiffs are dead. Died young, died younger than they should have. But it happened. So these lawsuits that came out of this were delayed in the nation's courts for decades, for generations. These were ignored. What other history have we got about nuclear out there and the health effects of nuclear? Chernobyl. TMI has been amazingly quiet, but Chernobyl displaced tens of thousands of people. The medical records you can go find record tens of thousands of people affected in many different ways from the fallout from Chernobyl. That's how this works. We have industries, organizations, and institutions that know this well. The CDC and its cohorts in the federal bureaucracy know this. They have numbers for this. They help those numbers inform where to build hospitals. Do you think it's a coincidence? The massive children's cancer hospitals being built. Maybe not enough of them, because cancer rates are increasing. This is an effect of this type of pollution. It is long-term, it is generational. If we don't learn how to manage it, if we can't be honest about it, then something's wrong. Something's wrong in our nuclear world. So remind your politicians of that, I guess, is the best course of action. March. What else happened in March? No nukes, no nuclear, not as they are. Boiling water on this planet to make energy makes less and less sense the more you think about it. Double boiling water in a nuclear reactor, contaminating water in a nuclear reactor. Pieces out. They don't know where to store it, what to do with it, other than make money, massive amounts of money.